welcome to today's panel discussion. We're here to discuss the emerging India electronics industry, and I'm delighted to be joined by three guest panelists. From Kaynes Technology, we have Savitha and Ramesh, and then from Aimtron we have Mukesh Vasani. So, I mean, India is certainly emerging as the preferred destination for the China Plus One policy that's emerging. It certainly has a large indigenous population, and that's supported by a young population that are highly educated and speak English, which is very good. And of course, the evidence is all around us. You can see the high-rise cranes in the cities. You can see the metro going up, and very recently landing a spaceship on the moon. So the technology is certainly here. But there are some things that you've still got to go. I mean, India's had a few false starts over the years, but how do we know this one's going to be sustainable? What would be your view on that?
In my opinion, we are the youngest population we are having, and we can train people and scale up faster. This is the biggest advantage we are having. Our own domestic requirement in this country is also growing. So I always a strong believer that this business will grow in a big way in India, and we will bring back all our manufacturing which is done outside the country.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have a view on it?
So, Trevor, your question about false stats in the past, So, past, I think government was a little different. So, right now, we have a lot of push from the government also. And you can see a lot of infrastructural change. In the past, we did not have that much infrastructure. So, that's a benefit over here. In the past, we didn't get that much cooperation. Now, government also encouraging us, giving like various kind of subsidies and kind of, support and, even hand-holding. So that's a good thing about, this time. Again, the election is coming through again, in a short time. But the system look like is there. So it won't be a false at this time, but it will be a more likely a progression in our accomplishment in EMS industries. But definitely there is a lot of business, as Ramesh ji said. There is a lot of opportunities, a lot of young people, a lot of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So
there's certainly a lot of good government incentives in place now for business. But what do you think about in trying to develop an electronics ecosystem here? Do we need to have all the parts of the supply chain? Do we need to have the fabs, the OSATs, the EMS and the PCB capacity? We need to have the entire supply chain to be able to really create a unified system.
Currently, if you look at it, is very important that the ecosystem for electronics is created in India. Yeah. Because if you look at Malaysia or if you look at China, this was done about 30 or 50 years back. Penang just celebrated the 50 years of Semicon in Penang. Yeah. So definitely we are a little laid back on creating the ecosystem. But I'm sure with the support that the government is coming up now and with the additional benefits that they are going to give to the industries that are coming in, the ecosystem will be definitely built in. And it is very important for the ecosystem to build in so that it eases the manufacturing process.
Yes. So I mean, Ramesh, how much of your bill of goods bill of materials do you actually source here in India, and how much do you have to import from China and other places?
Today the component ecosystem is not great in India, so we end up doing around 70% of our components being imported. Having said that, the government push has come in to have all the manufacturing base in India. In my opinion, we are 3 to 5 years away from that. But today 70% is imported, and going forward year on year there will be a reduction, and in next 3 to 5 years we will be somewhere like 20-30% only imported, because we find a lot of OSAT companies are planning to put up shops here. We find a lot of PCB boards are being put shop here, and a lot of shops are available from the government. So this will help the industry to have local components available here.
Right, right. Okay. Mukesh, I mean, you have a footprint in the United States with a number of factories as well as over here in India. How does that work for you? I mean, are you how are you structuring your sourcing, both in the US and here?
So in the US, I think it's very smooth, sourcing system over there. Here we still rely on, again, all the components still, in Asia they are making over here, resistors, capacitors, all the ecosystem still here. So India is also same way dependent, just like US also dependent on, Taiwan, China, and other areas too. So more likely, as mentioned in earlier, that 30 to 40% components still we have to be dependent on them. So how we deal, as an US and India, so we have a kind of a balance of both world. So like, Indian or Asian culture more like a target based, right? It's not like a quality focus that much, maybe quality, I'm not downgrade the quality words, but American quality, is the main focus over there, versus over here is a talent is here. If you can combine both, American quality with Indian talent, and that's what the benefit we have, being a exposure in US. So that's what our slogan is, American quality on Indian soil and Indian talent, for American, business mindset.
Yeah, well,
so
I guess in America your costs are heavier, so therefore you have to try and produce higher quality with fewer people, essentially. Whereas you've got plenty of labour here. There's no problem with that. Around the show over the last day, I've been talking to a number of companies, external companies who are looking to partner with Indian companies to build machines in India because the taxation system, the incentives from the government are making it such that they want to build here. But what really needs to happen, Savitha, for the technology transfer to happen and get real international investment coming into India?
Today the world is looking at India. Today the world is looking at India as a really growing market, and people have also realized the gaps that the Indian ecosystem is having. And since the future is going to be manufacturing in India, India is welcoming a lot of investments from the outside world into machining, building, into semicon, into PCB fab manufacturing and various other sectors in the ecosystem. So I'm sure that there will be a great demand for foreign investors looking at India, coming to India and investing in India, because India is going to be the growing market in the future.
Right. I mean, are you experiencing some partners wanting to work closer with Kaynes from internationally?
I'm seeing a lot of proposals coming in for jointly working together. When we were looking for partners, we are able to source partners in no time. So this gives a clear action plan. Globe is, especially Asian companies are looking at India to put facilities here, and all multinational companies are also coming with their own offices as well as design facility. With that, our business is increasing.
Yeah, okay. I mean, one of the other incentives that I think the government has put in place, I was hearing today, was, for example, there were some orders put in for aircraft from Boeing and from Airbus, but the government decided that they need to have 30% of the product has to be actually built here in India. That must be a huge boost to Indian manufacturing. Would you agree?
Yes, I do agree with you, and I think that's why right now Make in India is the main campaign over here. And what happened, let's see, a lot of companies, they bring the whole product from there. Now they enforce them that 20% you have to add value add. Let's see, if I bring a Samsung headset over here, okay, so now you have to add 20% value add. If you don't add, then they'll have to pay the duties and all other So that's also whole ecosystem is building up. That's the government is supporting on that also, and that's where yes, it's going to be looks bright future.
Well, it's a hugely exciting time for you all, and I'm really excited for you, and I look forward to hearing more stories about your growth when we come back in future years. But for now, I want to thank you all for taking part in our panel discussion today.